We were taking the pill or the biscuit or whatever. And you know what, 30 or 40 years from now, well, I'm doing pretty good, don't you think?
Many soul musicians at the height of their careers were caught up in substance addictions, and suddenly, a once bright career was plunged into the mud. How did they end? Join us as we review the 15 worst junkies in soul music history. Number 15, Sam Moore. Sam Moore, the American singer in his prime, was just more than a soul singer. He was a musician whose music resonated with the young and the old. Born on October 12, 1935, he was a functional member of the soul and R&B duo Sam and Dave. He was well loved because each time he came on stage, he knew how to appeal to everyone's emotional stance. He performed in many concerts. Each was not left without a signature to reminisce about his performance. This included the Atlantic Records' 40th anniversary party in 1988, the New Orleans Jazz Festival, and the SXSW Music Industry Conference in 2006. His influence and way of life did not just earn him a lovable status, but a consistent feature from one or more of award-winning soul musicians. Notable examples include Conway Twitty, Bruce Springsteen, Don Henley, Elton John, Phil Collins, and the world-celebrated Mariah Carey. In 1970, Sam went solo after a split with his longtime career mate and friend Dave. Throughout the years, he gained worldwide popularity as a solo artist. However, his life took a devastating twist and turn when he got entangled with addiction. Sam suffered from Hermione addiction, and it became worse each day. In 1986, Sam reflected on his past years, which were filled with regrets. Speaking with pain, he said his blooming career at some point was brought to a halt by the devastating effect of heroin in the 1960s and 1970s. In 1982, Moore became passionate about rehabilitation and took deliberate steps. Fortunately for him, he met his wife, Joyce McCrae, and with precision, his long battle with addiction was won, and he was able to go back to his roots of soul music. Right until his passing away in January 2025, Moore was stable and never went back to substance abuse. Number 14, Etta James. Etta James was a celebrated figure among the elite. Blessed with an extraordinary voice, she learned to transfer peace and calmness with her music while simultaneously passing a message. As a soul singer, James was multifaceted in her singing, as she was occasionally referred to as the one who bridged the gap between R&B and rock and roll. Most of her songs were not just an occasional but a regular anthem that cut across gospel, blues, jazz, and several other genres of music. Hits like The Wallflower, Something Got a Hold on Me, and Tell Mama were part of incredible archives that made the world fall uncontrollably for her. During her long reign in the soul music industry, James was awarded several awards, but the notable ones were the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999, and the Blues Hall of Fame in 2001. Though she was having it all good in different aspects of her life, she also faced several problems, including heroin addiction, severe physical abuse, and incarceration. Unfortunately for her, the heroin addiction was a deal-breaker in her life. It affected her career so badly, and by the mid-1960s, she had no option but to steal from friends and forge prescriptions so that she could meet up with financing her habit. In 1966, she was arrested for writing bad checks, placed on probation, and was ordered to pay a $500 fine. This was already a lifestyle by this time, and rehabilitation was the only solution. However, this proved abortive as she went to rehab several times to no avail. In 1974, she was sentenced to substance treatment instead of prison, and just as many had thought she would come out better, she became addicted to methadone. In her 1995 autobiography, Rage to Survive, she wrote about how her time in the hospital changed her perspective about substances. Sadly, this wasn't the last time she wallowed in addiction. It continued shortly after as she was seen running back to the arms of substances after getting married to the man who loved it. After several ailments, James passed away from leukemia in January 2012 at the age of 73. Number 13, Amy Winehouse. For many reasons, Amy was given flowers at some point for her contribution and unwavering support to soul music. It wasn't a coincidence that her records had sold about 30 million worldwide because, at some point, she was considered a master in that genre. Born September 14, 1983, she is particularly special. She infuses a blend of expressive contralto and a subsequent mix of other genres, including soul rhythm and blues, reggae, and jazz music. While still in her youth stage, she functioned fully as a National Youth Jazz Orchestra member before yielding to her long desire to sign to Simon Fuller's 19 management in 2002. Still, in 2002, Amy's passion for music was broadened when she signed a publishing deal with EMI. In 2003, she released her debut album, Frank, and for the very umpteenth time, many of the songs were influenced by jazz. Winehouse's mind-blowing song, Stronger Than Me, won her the Ivor Novello Award for Best Contemporary Song from the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers, and Authors. One of her biggest wins was in 2008 when she took home 5 awards from the prestigious Grammy, which equalized the record for the most wins by a female artist in a single night. Just as her career was doing very well in comparison to her peers, she also faced several setbacks, including substance abuse, mental illnesses, and addiction. By the time she knew it, the substance abuse and addiction had done irreparable damage to her health, affecting her lungs. Her love and continuous patronage of crack cocaine brought her in bad shape, affecting her career and overall well-being. 3 days before her death, her bodyguard explained that she had dealt with intoxication and couldn't make it out alive because it had taken a toll on her. Number 12. Michael Jackson. At the peak of his career, Michael Jackson was more than just a name. He was the embodiment of music, especially within the shores of soul music. Popularly known as a pop legend, he was always a wonder to listen to and watch because he knew how to carry fans along with his dance moves. He was a singer, songwriter, dancer, and philanthropist who didn't fail to make known what he was made of. Over a 4-decade career, his world record music achievements broke racial barriers in America and made him a global figure. Jackson rose to fame as a solo artist with the release of his 5th album, Off the Wall, in 1979. In 1982, he released his Thriller album, and without any obstruction went on to make the best-selling album of all time. This propelled him to the forefront of pop culture. In 1987, he affirmed his status again by releasing his album Bad, and from there, he never stopped inking his name on the books of history. The album sold more than he expected and entered history as the first album to produce 5 U.S. Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles. From the late 1980s, a career filled with so much hope and glamour began to wane off because of several accusations, changing appearance, relationships, behavior, and substance addictions. This continued for a while. Before he knew what was happening, he had gotten neck-deep into it with no substantial help to remedy his situation. Swallowed by the love of several substances, he was an unapologetic lover of propofol and benzodiazepine. Oftentimes, the singer patronized the workings of these substances because, to him, it was said to cure several levels of pain. Unfortunately, these deadly substances were the leading cause of his death. On June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before his concert, Michael died from cardiac arrest caused by an overdose of propofol and benzodiazepine. Conrad Murray, his physician, had prescribed different medications to help him sleep at his rented mansion in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles. This turned out to be his end. Number 11. Bobby DeBarge. Several times, Bobby's music was placed under scrutiny. Notwithstanding, he didn't fail to prove all of his critics wrong with their false assumptions. Laced up as one of the best soul musicians in history, his music was a healer to all and sundry who cared to pay attention to his vocals. He was the lead singer of the R&B soul vocal switch, and his falsetto vocals made him noticeable for several reasons. In 1975, after teaming up with one of the best musicians, Gregory Williams, they both began a group, which led them to audition for Barry White's background group, White Heat, helping to produce and release their debut album that year. The following year, the band experienced difficulties. White had to let go of all but one musician from the band due to tax issues. In 2005, Barge returned to Grand Rapids. Despondent that his career hadn't progressed, he ventured deeper into heroin addiction. Later, he served as both a mentor and a co-producer of his siblings' band DeBarge, eventually joining them in full to cover for departed members like Elle and Bunny. Just when everyone thought Barge was free from substance, he fell into a deeper addiction to heroin. In 1988, he was sentenced to 5 years in a Wisconsin prison for substance trafficking charges. Following his release in 1993, he vowed to stay clean, signing a management agreement with Bernd Lichters. While in prison, he confessed to his family that he had contracted HIV, and on August 6, 1995, he died at the age of 39. Number 10. Kim. As a lover of soul music, you couldn't be bored when the likes of Kim rocked the stage. How he manages to blend his energetic vocals with a flair of calmness needs to be studied beyond the shores of the university. Born Kim Lamont Owens on July 23, 1967, he is an American singer, songwriter, and producer. His debut album, Chemistry, was a big banger for him, even though the cost of production and every other contingency were financed from singing top 40 cover tunes in a wedding band and waiting tables. In November 2001, Kim got signed to Motown Records, which later played a vital role in releasing his album Chemistry on February 25, 2003. Kim kept fanning the flames of his career with his previous vocals, and in May 2005, his second album, Album 2, was released. Just as everyone had expected, it was certified platinum by the RIAA. It includes the single, I Can't Stop Loving You, a #1 song on urban adult contemporary radio, and You Might Win, featuring Stevie Wonder on harmonica. Despite doing phenomenal things with his voice, Kim was not free from controversy. He suffered certain beats and runs, especially after substance usage. In the early days of his career, Kim faced many challenges ranging from excessive alcohol intake to substance addiction. This substance addiction drove him to multiple stints in jail, hospitals, and homelessness in Detroit. In one of his interviews, he said the turning point of his life was in 1990, when he realized he needed help after losing many friends due to his lifestyle and his continual feeling of bankruptcy emotionally and spiritually. Speaking about those facing substance addiction, here is what he said. I can't tell you about it unless they've been brought to a place where they're able and willing to receive help, and that's usually when we're at our worst, but it is available to everybody willing to work for it. Number 9. D'Angelo. For a long time, the world of soul music has enjoyed a bit of good music from the evergreen singer D'Angelo. As a person, Angelo was gifted in several areas ranging from singing, songwriting, multi-instrumentalist, and record producer. Born Michael Eugene Archer, he was the originator of passionate soul music that echoes deep down the soul of any listener. He came to the limelight for the first time after co-producing the single You Will Know for R&B supergroup Black Men United. His debut studio album, Brown Sugar, was the real deal. It was certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. Every time Angelo composes a song, you can see the originality embedded in his lyrics through his lines and story. He continued consistently for many years, spilling good music to his fans. And to further spice up things, he collaborated with artists such as Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, and then girlfriend Angie Stone, asserting to his longest claim that he was going to be around for a long time. His next album, Voodoo, debuted at #1 on the US Billboard 200 and faced several critical acclaim, just as one would expect. While his status was increasing, D'Angelo was also battling with an addiction that kept him away from music for a long time. The loss of loved ones sponsored by this addiction caused him a lot. In 2005, he was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated and possession of marijuana and cocaine. By the time he survived a near-fatal car accident in September of that year, he had already done 2 unsuccessful stints in rehab. However, his wake-up call came in 2006 after dealing with several setbacks that made him rethink. Number 8. Donny Hathaway. In a clear expression, the world of music had always felt the impact of good music churned out regularly from the archives of Donny Hathaway. Born October 1, 1945, he was an American singer, keyboardist, songwriter, backing vocalist, and arranger described by Rolling Stone as a soul legend. Without exaggeration, Donny's songs knew how to identify with the common man. If you hear them, you can't help but flow with the rhythm indefinitely. Songs like The Ghetto, This Christmas, Someday, We'll All Be Free, and Little Ghetto Boy were some of his popular songs that gave him an edge consistently in the world of soul music. At some point, Hathaway worked as a songwriter, session musician, and producer for Curtis Mayfield Curtom Records in Chicago. He was the sole originator of the arrangement of hits by the Unifix Chord of Love and The Beginning of My End. He participated in projects by the staple singers Jerry Butler, Aretha Franklin, The Impressions, and Curtis Mayfield. Darrell Easley described Hathaway's album in 1972 as one of the best live albums ever recorded, and as some may say, his music is out of the world. However, Donnie's life was not always perfect. As it was seen, he faced several bouts of depression and unusual behavior. In 1971, he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, for which he was prescribed various medications. It became so bad that at some point, he was to take 14 different medications twice a day. This still didn't help him that much. His music career stalled. Despite the medication from 1973 to 1977, he was a shadow of himself, and oftentimes he frequented the hospital. Sadly, he passed away as he was found dead on the pavement below the window of his 15th floor room in New York City's Essex House Hotel at 160 Central Park South. Number 7. Al Green. The stage has always been a major platform for Al Green to unleash all he has for fans and music lovers. Beautifully endowed with a great voice, he focused on how he could uplift the souls of music lovers through his music. Born Albert Leoms Green, he is an American singer, songwriter, pastor, and record producer. In the 1970s, Green blew the music airwaves with hit songs like Tired of Being Alone, I'm Still in Love with You, Love and Happiness, Take Me to the River, and his signature song, Let's Stay Together. His life was impacted greatly by the death of his girlfriend, and to react positively to that news, he became a pastor and focused solely on gospel music. This didn't last long, as he returned to secular music shortly after. Green was inducted into Rock and Roll fame in 1995. He was referred to on the museum site as one of the most gifted purveyors of soul music. He has been called the last of the great soul singers on countless occasions. His works were also rewarded with several awards, including an 11-time Grammy Award winner and Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. However, Green was not always in his best shape. He had also gone through the worst and bad times. Green, while bustling through the issue of fame, found himself sold up on recreational substances, and this caused problems for him. He was accused of assault countless times. A notable one was that of his wife Shirley, which led to their divorce multiple times. His music was greatly affected, but after much deliberation, he managed to live above the tides of inconsistency and substance-related issues. Number 6. Charlie Wilson. The soul music world wouldn't have been completed without the likes of Charlie Sheen Wilson, in the scene spilling great music across several platforms and stages. Born Charles Kent Wilson, he was popularly known as Uncle Charlie. He is an American singer, songwriter, and record producer who served as a lead vocalist for the Gap Band from its 1967 formation until its 2010 disbandment. Shortly after leaving the Gap Band, he made a name for himself, and the world couldn't stop celebrating his phenomenal talent. As a solo artist, he also received several awards, including the BMI Icon Award in 2005 and the Soul Train Icon Award in 2009. In 2009 and 2020, he was named Billboard magazine's #1 adult R&B artist, and his song, There Goes My Baby, was named the #1 urban adult song for 2009 by Billboard. Even though he had all this success at his disposal, he was also a candidate of several shortcomings. He was caught up in the ponds of addiction. He became an ardent fan of cocaine and alcohol, and for many years swam in the euphoria of it. Everything about his career went southways, and a once glaring career was brought to a halt. However, in 1995, he met and married his wife, Maheen, a social worker. She played a mighty role in the rehab he was going through at the time, and ever since, Wilson had never been entangled in the shackles of cocaine and alcohol. Number 5. Jackie Wilson, born Jack Leroy. Wilson Jr. on June 9, 1934, he was an American singer popularly known for transitioning from rhythm and blues into soul. Nicknamed Mr. Excitement, he was considered a master showman and one of the most dynamic singers and performers in soul, R&B, and rock and roll history. Wilson's fame became feasible as a member of the R&B vocal group Billy Ward and his Dominoes. He went solo in 1957 and spectacularly scored over 50 chart singles spanning the genres of R&B, rock and roll, soul, doo-wop, and easy listening. His dominance also extended to Billboard, as on the Billboard Hot 100, Wilson scored 14 to 20 pop hits, 6 of which reached the top 10. Away from the music, Wilson's career was hit back and forth with several occurrences, including substance abuse, addiction, and the death of his son. However, the issue of addiction was a dominant trait in his life. Consistently, he patronized several substances just to raise him a bit while swinging into a mood he comfortably performed for his fans. This, at some point, brought him to his knees. What he didn't know was that he had subtly had a health challenge. On September 29, 1975, he was in the middle of singing Lonely Teardrops when he suffered a massive heart attack that he didn't recover fully from till he died on January 21, 1984. Number 4. Gerald Levert. Music always finds its best expression in the vocals of this singer, Gerald Levert. He was a professional vocalist who carried everyone along, touching key areas of their life. Born November 13, 1966, he was an American singer, songwriter, and producer. Levert was a great name among his elites, and he performed many times with his brother Sean Levert and friend Matt Gordon in the R&B vocal group. Levert, at some point while seeking ways to showcase his talent, joined the LSG, a supergroup that consisted of Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill, and himself. Levert, throughout his career, released 9 solo albums, 6 as a member of Levert, 2 with his father, and 2 as a member of LSG. Levert was also credited with discovering R&B groups, the Rude Boys, Men at Large, and One of the Girls. Levert was also part of the R&B group Black Men United. Even though he did fairly well for himself as a solo artist, he was still struck by the tragedy of addiction. He lived on substances till his passing away. He was a junk to a fault with no direction for his career. He didn't seek help for many years. By the time it dawned on him, it was already late. On November 10, 2006, he was found dead at his residence in Ohio. A clear autopsy result showed that he had died of a fatal combination of prescription narcotics and over-the-counter substances. Number 3. Natalie Cole. Born Natalie Cole on February 6, 1950, she was an American singer, songwriter, and actress. Her music was not just a melody, but a message that touched every aspect of human life. She was the daughter of singer and jazz pianist Nat King Cole. Natalie was a wonder in all ramifications and never failed to prove that with her lyrics. Her fame became known worldwide after her debut album, Inseparable, where she sang the song This Will Be, An Everlasting Love. This was also the album's title track. This gave her an edge in her career as she received the Grammy Award. She became the first African-American recipient and the first R&B act to win the award. Throughout her lifetime, Cole received 9 Grammy Awards, was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award, and sold over 30 million records worldwide. She was awarded the Howie Richmond Hitmaker Award from the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1999. Despite the many feats in music and personal life, she faced lots of controversy, a notable one being her substance partnership. In 2000, she released an autobiography that captured how substance usage wrecked her life and brought her to the barest minimum, including the unusual urge for heroin and crack cocaine. At one stage, she worked as a prostitute to fund her substance habit. Sadly, she passed away from hepatitis C, a liver disease attributed to past intravenous substance use. Number 2. Whitney Houston. In the history of soul music, Whitney stands as one of the greatest soul musicians ever. Born August 9, 1963, she was an American singer, actress, film producer, and philanthropist. Commonly referred to as the Voice, she is one of the most awarded performers ever. Known for her vocal delivery and live performances, Houston was ranked on Rolling Stone's list as the greatest singer in 2023. She was an iconic figure who brought reverence to soul music. Houston signed to Arista Records at the age of 19. Her first 2 studio albums, Whitney Houston and Whitney, topped the Billboard 200 for 14 and 11 weeks, respectively. The former remains the best-selling debut album by a solo artist in history, while the latter made her the first woman to debut atop the US and UK charts. Even though her life was an enviable one, it was only based on her relevance career-wise. Outside that, she was an addict to a fault. While the full extent of Whitney Houston's substance use may never be completely known, there are numerous indications that she faced a battle with substance abuse throughout her life. This affected her career, marital life, and everything about her, which was put on hold several times. She acknowledged her weakness several times but still couldn't overcome it. Sadly, on February 11, 2012, an autopsy revealed she died as a result of accidental drowning, which was spearheaded by cocaine and atherosclerosis. The toxicology report revealed that her system contained cocaine, Xanax, Flexeril, marijuana, and Benadryl. Number 1. Dave Prater. In the most concise capture, Dave Prater was a true definition of a soul music singer. Bringing all odds together, he will not fail to deliver a top-notch song with his vocals and lyrics. David Prater Jr. was an American Southern soul and R&B singer whose voice was the deeper baritone tenor vocalist of the soul vocal duo Sam and Dave from 1961 until he died in 1988. He is recognized as a distinguished member of several prestigious music halls of fame. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992, his contributions to the rock genre have solidified his legacy. Additionally, he was honored with a place in the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999 for the iconic song Soul Man, which showcases his remarkable talent and influence. His membership in the Vocal Group Hall of Fame acknowledges his work alongside other talented artists, celebrating the power of collaboration in music. Furthermore, he was inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame in 1997, highlighting his roots and the impact he has had on the music scene in his home state. In addition to these accolades, he is a Grammy Award-winning artist, further emphasizing his excellence in the industry. His collection of awards includes multiple gold record certifications, signifying widespread commercial success and recognition for his recordings. These honors reflect not only his artistic achievements, but also his enduring appeal and the lasting impression he has made on fans and fellow musicians alike. Sam and Dave performed together at about 100 annual shows, including gigs in Europe, Japan, and Canada. They blessed many people with their singing, and at some point, they were tagged the best duo group of all time based on their consistent delivery. However, Dave was battling with several addictions, especially that of substance use. When his wife thought he was getting better, he was arrested for selling cocaine to someone in 1987. This continued, and all efforts to revive the singer were halted, leaving his last days with regrets and shortcomings. Unfortunately, Dave died in a ghastly motor accident in 1988, and a beautiful story was cut short within a twinkle of an eye. Which of these singers' deaths pained you the most, and why do you identify with their death so much? Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel.